Hi, this is Jeff Kober, and we welcome you to another Disney at Play podcast. We are excited to have you. I know this is not Epcot. We're heading over to Epcot because there's so much to showcase. In fact, actually, we were going to do our next park update from Disney's Animal Kingdom. We were long overdue for that. But then in the process, I ended up doing a little daddy-daughter date with my daughter. And when I got over there, I realized, oh my goodness, there's so many things going on that we need to share construction-wise, with the beverage, with the Flower and Garden Festival. I just needed to share it. So I reshuffled the stack again, and then I got ready to do that, but then I realized, oh my goodness, this news coming out from Anaheim with Disneyland's expansion. We had to do a massive podcast around that. Thank you for those who responded. If you've not heard it yet, you definitely want to hear that podcast and some of the things that are going on with respect to that. So crazy, so much news. We haven't even had a chance to talk about facial recognition over at the Magic Kingdom, nor have we talked about how Disney Cruise Line is going to begin sailings over in the United Kingdom. We have just so much to talk about, but we're going to start here with Epcot. And before we do, let me just also say to you, thank you for being a part of this podcast and listening to us. If you have not had a chance, check out our new Patreon site, which is the Wayfinder Society. Now, I labored over this for over a year. Do I go with Patreon and so forth? And I just realized I didn't want to, because that's not really where my main income comes from. I really am about doing training programs and development. If you have a chance, go check out my performancejourneys.com. I do workshops and seminars about Disney best in business practices, whether it's leadership, customer service. But I also realized there are some who were really not at that stage, or maybe had purchased some of my books, but really wanted something new or something else. And I just really felt like a Patreon site would give license to doing that. And I've had a wonderful time preparing. I know most Patreon sites is just, hey, put out a little money to say thank you for doing a podcast. I wanted to give something in return. And so we have created this series of Disney interactive apps through our Wayfinder Society. Whether you are a fan or whether you love business practices at Disney, our fan site, I have just spent way too much time on Pirates of the Caribbean at Magic Kingdom. Now, if you've heard me talk about this before, you had to, because we had a previous podcast about 20 podcasts ago where we talked about how Pirates compares in all the parks. Well, in our Wayfinder Society, we actually go into a deeper dig about each of those Pirates of the Caribbean locations. And while the Magic Kingdom version ride is not as good as the Disneyland one, the whole Caribbean Plaza is amazing and interesting. And a lot of people really don't know a lot of things about that particular aspect of the park. And so we're releasing that. For those of you already part of Wayfinder Society, know that is coming very shortly. And then we have other things too for fans. We've got this big thing on Pandora World of Avatar. You got to check that out. And then over with the Disney at Work layers, which are slightly higher price layers, there you get to see some really cool best in business ideas from Disney. We are at Disneyland with an interactive map and guide that takes you to the happiest place on earth and shows you best in business practices at work. So very, very cool stuff. Please take the time to check out our Patreon site, Wayfinder Society. Meanwhile, we got to head to Epcot, and there's so much to cover. So thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being a part, and we'll see you real soon. Off to Epcot. We are here at the Camera Center. Well, technically, it's also Pin Traders. It's serving both purposes here at the entrance to Epcot. And I had noticed these infinity mirrors, which are kind of cool, make a very nice entrance decoration and a very future world kind of comment. So it's very, very cool. as well as all the other stuff that's in this location. Okay, I've already given in, but in celebration of Disneyland's It's a Small World 55th anniversary, I broke down and bought 3 Easter eggs that commemorate that attraction, and they're just really cute. One is the clock, and with its smile face, the one designed for Disneyland, which is now in the Magic Kingdom. Another one has the hippo, and the other one has the elephant. Very cool. So we're doing a couple of different visits and trying out some of the food. I've gone back to the one near Test Track to try out the corned beef hash, as well as to re-enjoy the Fruit Loop shake and the avocado toast. We'll see how it goes. So I had the corned beef brisket hash with a soft poached egg, had some onion, some cheese curds, a Tabasco flavored hollandaise style sauce. Was delicious. The challenge was there was a lot of oil at the bottom, and I couldn't quite figure out what was the source of that oil. Oh, by the way, it had house-made potato barrels, which were also very good. All in all, it was a great dish, just a little on the greasy side. Also, I had the avocado toast, which was fantastic, and the Fruit Loops shake, which was just simply fun. So, love that. All right, Madison, you had the plant-based Korean short rib that had some kimchi, mayonnaise, and some rice. How was it?
It was very good. Unlike a regular rib, this rib was a lot soft, kind of like the texture was soft. It was easy to cut through, kind of like meatloaf. As opposed to
a rib, or as opposed to, a meaty rib.
Yeah. And it was pretty salty, I would say, but...
It's a good portion, but it had this salty soy. It was a little too much on the sodium side of the equation.
But it had your share of vegetables. I think there was an artichoke, pieces of carrots, and it was pretty filling. So it's funny, but I actually didn't know that it was plant-based until you told me. I thought it was going to be like a regular rib. So I actually couldn't tell. Except for the texture, I could barely...
You could tell.
I couldn't tell.
And no bones.
And no bones. But I just thought it was a different type of rib. So, yeah, it was a good plant-based rib.
Very cool. So, there are 3 things that we found in China that you may not have seen or may not have known about. First is we found this kind of Instagram wall where you could grab a photo. It was kind of cool, a little kind of koi fish. It almost looked a little Japanese for China, but notwithstanding, it was kind of a cool place to do a selfie or an Instagram. Second is we found a big Disney Christmas ornament, all red, in the shop, which, and then we found some Mickey Mouse merchandise. Kind of Mickey, but not quite Mickey. I'm not sure if Disney should be collecting royalty or suing, I'm not sure, but it was interesting merchandise, not to say the least. Don't know why they don't do Shanghai Disney merchandise. That's a miss. And the final thing is here is the wonderful Nine Dragons restaurant. It's beautifully laid out. And actually, I ate here not long before the pandemic and found it to be one of my new favorites. Notwithstanding, it's not offering table service, but guests ordering from the adjacent counter service restaurant can actually enjoy dining inside this room, which is kind of a cool thing. So we decided we would try Spike's Pollination Exploration 2021. You go around looking for different flowers in different locations. At the end, you get a very cool little plate. It was an orange bird one, so I had to go for it. The Easter one's also going on right now, and I kind of like looking for the eggs. but I didn't think the little egg that you got at the end was really kind of worth it. So we're gonna try this activity and see how it goes. So here's one example of how that works. We found a spike in a garden that frankly I guess is the Garden Italiano, although it's kind of halfway between Italy and Germany. But artichoke is the plant that goes with this location. So we will add that sticker to our little... So I managed to capture some over-the-wall photos, doing it the legal way, of the new gelateria coming to Italy. And looks like it's progressing. Still looks like it's another month or two before it opens. But you can see images of the construction in progress on this video. So just to give you a taste of the Easter egg one, I don't think I've ever seen a figment egg. Maybe I've just been out of touch on this, but here's one sitting in the Japanese garden. Haven't found spike, but there you go. Here's figment. Okay, this is a guilty pleasure that I remember from a previous event. I wouldn't say food and wine though, but this chocolate macaron is really delicious, and it's chocolate filled, and it's got these crunchy things on the outside. It's all good. So we'll try for it. So I thought here on the bridge was a great place to kind of showcase the third taco, which has been added to World Showcase Lagoon for the Harmonious show. Again, these are very prominent barges. And again, I have wondered whether or not these things sink a little come nighttime if the bottom 8 feet don't submerge. Here is evidence that you really miss out on some of the really great gardening treats in the Flower and Garden Festival if you don't head to the back of the pavilions. This is in the back of the UK pavilion. It's a little Tinkerbell. It's a beautiful topiary, but what's added to are these little houses that have been built out of natural elements to house the fairies, and beautiful flowers all throughout. It's really a lovely little piece. All right, Madison got the cheesecake from the Honey Cheesecake from the Honey Bistro, and I've gotten the honey spoon bread with honey whipped butter and bacon on top and jalapenos inside. So we'll test this out, see how it goes. So I have to say that I like the fact that the spoon bread, which is kind of a cornbread, had a lot of corn in it, had some jalapeno, was warm. The honey butter was really good. Still, it just wasn't a real, I don't know, didn't really do anything for me. However, I did try Madison's cheesecake, a bite of it, and I thought it was pretty good. And it felt really light and kind of good to eat. Madison, what do you think was the situation for you? What did you like? You tried both?
It was definitely delicious, especially when I ate it with the mascarpone. And you dip it in cream, and it's just really good. I liked it a lot.
Okay, there you go. So I went to redeem my flower thing to get a plate, and they have very cool plates. They have 4 plates to choose from, but go figure, 2 of them have come out of stock, run out of stock, including the orange bird one. So I only had choice between the mini and the spike. That was really a disappointing thing. I really expected something. I would not have done the activity if I knew they were out of stock. And considering it's just the beginning of the garden festival, that's a little disappointing. I mean, it's not the beginning, but it's certainly months from ending. It is evening. I am standing in the direct center of World Showcase. By the way, if you look out toward the ring, some of the arms have been moving back and forth. You may have saw the one arm just now moving. What is happening here is I'm standing directly in the center of World Showcase. Behind me, directly behind me, is Future World with Spaceship Earth exactly behind me. And exactly in front of me is the American Adventure. Why am I mentioning all this? In between me and American Adventure is this circular sphere, which is the centerpiece of the new Harmonia show. You can clearly see that this thing is off-center, and this has been a point of controversy with a lot of fans out there. Why is something that is so massively engineered, something that's promising to be the best nighttime spectacular ever, why is it off-center? The reason is not because they made a mistake. I think they were intentional in creating the angle in which it resides. And why I think that is because their intent was to make this nighttime spectacular with all these huge elements very visible from the top of the festival pavilion, which they were going to build. Now, the festival pavilion does not sit center of Future World. It sits as you face Spaceship Earth heading out of heading from World Showcase to Future World. It will be toward the left, kind of where the old Starbucks was and where the Coke tasting place was. That is where the festival pavilion was designed to be. Now, budget cuts suggested maybe they were going to do something different because of the money, or at least it was going to be delayed. But notwithstanding, all of this was designed probably to sit in the position it's in so that it would face directly and have a clear line of sight to the festival pavilion, which would be more toward, which would mean moving the circular sphere to the position that it is currently in. That's what I'm thinking is the case, and that is why, despite the engineering marvel that this thing is, this is probably why this is sitting in the way that it is sitting right now in World Showcase Lagoon. I thought that maybe this would be a good time to talk about a newly resurrected rumor that has come back on the different posts and different pages of Disney fan sites, and that is the idea of building a hotel at the entrance to Epcot. Now, the location for this would actually be, well, the rumored location would actually be between the Living Seas and the land. That's the rumored location. Now, what I had originally heard was that it was going to be somewhere more toward Wonders of Life in between Universe of Energy. But the new tower went up for the roller coaster, so I keep thinking that's a really bad location. The one thing I do think is that wherever they build it, they need to take advantage of the Epcot monorail line. There are no hotels off the Epcot monorail line, and there's no reason why a stop would really hurt that travel experience. I think you would gain so much more by having an additional stop on that line that goes from the Ticket and Transportation Center to Epcot. So I really would hope that they do something, but again, all of this is rumor, and we'll have to see where it all goes. Just a few days ago, they tested out the new lights that are going into Spaceship Earth as part of the 50th anniversary celebration. I was told that they put in about 10 of them to test them out, to pilot them. But it was on this side, but honestly, I can't see them anywhere. Still, it looks like a very promising thing. Of course, this is not going to be a temporary thing for the 50th anniversary. It's going to be permanent for Epcot forevermore. So, be interesting to see how these show up and how obvious they are in both daylight and then, of course, as they display in the evening. So, finishing out our day at Epcot, and did the flower thing. Well, mostly did the flower thing, but we did get the plates, and actually I was surprised it was 2 plates instead of 1. Disappointed it wasn't Orange Bird, but I gave the plates to Madison. She loved the little mini Japan motif and design, so she's happy. And I think we've had a good day here at Epcot, trying all the different foods, checking out things that are happening, things under construction, things rumored, and much, much more. So thanks for joining us for this podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube at JJeffCober. Make sure that you also check out and subscribe to us at DisneyAtPlay.com. Remember that wherever you are and wherever you go, always follow the compass of your heart. Have a great day. We'll see you real soon.